During nighttime, Seongwu opens up his status window. He received 150,000 gold alone from his last battle against the Vampire Lord. He got a new skill called Create Bone Armor, and now he can make armor using the bones of corpses. Seongwu uses his skill to make a bone armor for himself. It automatically becomes equipped on Seongwu's body, and it is also quite comfortable. He can equip his minions with this armor as well, which will greatly boost their defense. Finally, he received a heroic rank drawn, repeating crossbow, which can be fired without reloading. This is a perfect weapon for Seongwu because he stays behind most of the times while his minions do the fighting. Seongwu is feeling quite confident about his current state, but suddenly he sees a house engulfed in flames. His mom and dad are burning inside, and they are calling for his help. Seongwu tries to help them, but he realizes that he is in the body of a kid. Kid Seongwu becomes afraid and he starts running away from his burning parents. He wakes up from his dream, and Hanho informs him that Sergeant Kim is here to see him with some soldiers. Seongwu starts preparing to meet them, but he is still afraid after watching that dream. A bold officer rushes inside while Hanho tries to stop him. He introduces himself as Lieutenant Major Taeyeon Park of the Army's S1 Division, and Sergeant Kim is also accompanying him. Lieutenant Park gets straight to the point and he tells Seongwu that he wants him to collaborate with them in their future missions. Seongwu inquires about which type of collaboration they want, and Lieutenant Park tells him they want him to join the army. Seongwu and Raidi become a bit disappointed after hearing it, and he asks Lieutenant Park why he wants him to join. Lieutenant Park tells him that they want him to help them in reclaiming a territory. He further informs him that the prosecutor of Yeongdong-po denies the government authority and he created a renegade group. Plus, he created the first guild in Korea and he formed a safety zone to re-establish order. He also defeated a boss monster in their area. Lieutenant Park becomes enraged as he thinks the entire nation should be rallying behind the army. But Seongwu disagrees with him because government was completely ineffective when the survivors needed their help. Lieutenant Park is about to burst with anger and Seongwu tells him he can work as a mercenary for them. He further tells him that government does not mean anything in this new world. Lieutenant Park grabs his collar, but Seongwu pushes him away and starts leaving. Lieutenant Park tells him that he will not survive long enough without the support of the army, but Seongwu is ready to take his chances in this new world. The survivors are feeling safer with the soldiers around. Ji Soo-yeon tells Han-ho that people tend to rely on stable organizations, such as military, but the expressions of these soldiers are not looking well. Han-ho has watched many army-related movies, so he is quite impressed by them. He asks one of the soldiers about the Private Kwan, whom they met back with Sergeant Kim. The soldier tells him that it's a classified information, so he can't share it with him. Both Ji Soo-yeon and Han-ho realize that these soldiers are acting weird, and some information about a private soldier can never be considered classified. Meanwhile, Seongwu wanted to cooperate with the army, but he can't bear that arrogant Lieutenant Park. Sergeant Kim approaches Seongwu and he's feeling bad for the Lieutenant Park's aggressive behavior. In truth, the army is in a real pickle and they need his help. Sergeant Kim tells him he wants to show him some top secret thing. Both of them head toward a parking lot of a building. There are a few soldiers stationed around there. They make their way around them and reach a room. Sergeant Kim shows a prophecy stone to Seongwu. These prophecy stones are scattered around the world, and whoever touches them can see a vision of the future, but not everyone sees the exact same thing. He further tells him that this game is totally unbalanced because those people who have access to these prophecy stones have an advantage. Seongwu is a bit hesitant, but he touches the Season 2 prophecy stone. It shows him a glimpse of the future where everyone, including him and his party, had been turned into undead creatures by a being known as Lich King. Lich King looks at Seongwu and he starts burning. With that, the dream is over, but Seongwu is still getting goosebumps from what he just witnessed. The prophecy stone gives an announcement that Season 2 will start on 1st January. It turns out Sergeant Kim also had seen something similar when he used the prophecy stone in the past. Seongwu receives another objective-based exclusive quest called Who is the Master of Death? He needs to seize the Grim Reaper's scythe, and as a reward, he will receive Wave of Death skill, which he just witnessed after touching Prophecy Stone. The location of the Grim Reaper's scythe will be revealed to him when he reaches level 15. The choices he makes during this quest will affect his destiny. Seongwu is worried because Season 2 will start in just 2 months, and if he fails, everything will just turn out like what he saw in the Prophecy Stone. Seongwu inquires about the location of the boss of this area from Sergeant Kim. It turns out boss monsters have started appearing after the start of Season 1, but Seongwu was dealing with the vampires at that time. Sergeant Kim has information about one boss monster, and it is the same boss monster that Lieutenant Park wanted Seongwu to kill. Seongwu tells Sergeant Kim to inform Lieutenant Park that he was able to convince Seongwu to help them get rid of the boss, but Seongwu also wants gold for his service. The next day, Sergeant Kim informs Lieutenant Park that Seongwu is ready to help them, but he wants 100,000 gold for his service. Lieutenant Park becomes angry after hearing it. Company commander informs Lieutenant Park that there is no one on the same power level as Seongwu, and he also witnessed his power when he defeated the Vampire Lord. Lieutenant Park tells them that they still have First Class Sergeant Kang, who is quite powerful. Company commander informs him that First Class Sergeant Kang is powerful, but the players under army command are not that much useful, while Seongwu has an army of skeletons, which can sacrifice their life for him at any given moment. Seongwu can easily wipe out a whole battalion with just his low-ranked skeletons. The army brings in around 60,000 gold per day by defeating monsters, and they can hire Seongwu with their 2 days of gold earnings. The boss monster has taken control of Airstrip, which is a strategic point for the military. The army had previously sent dozens of players, but only First Sergeant Kang returned alive from there. Traveling by air is the safest means of transportation if they can avoid the wyverns. Plus, Lieutenant Park will be promoted if they take back control of the airstrip. Lieutenant Park is still angry, but he agrees to hire Seongwu. The company commander pays Seongwu, and he tells Seongwu that he needs to defeat the monster within 3 days. Sergeant Kang will be accompanying them on this mission, and he is the only survivor who returned alive from the failed boss hunt. Sergeant Kang is a bit disappointed because he will be working as an assistant of Seongwu. Sergeant Kang asks about the level of Seongwu, and he informs him that he is on level 10. Sergeant Kang and the army players become shocked. They have been killing orcs non-stop, but they still haven't reached level 10. Seongwu tells them that he needs to kill stronger monsters than just mere orcs. Sergeant Kang angrily tells them that the boss is on a whole different level. Meanwhile, the number of survivors in Seongwu's camp has also increased. Spearman Kyung-soo suggests that they should build a town with the help of these survivors. Those people with support skills will help build the town, while the players with fighter classes will be responsible for hunting and defending the town. Their goal is to increase their gold and military strength. Han-ho's parents praise Kyung-soo for his idea, but he tells them that it was the idea of Seongwu in the first place. Kyung-soo thinks he is not a reliable person because all of his friends died at the hands of the vampires due to his rash decisions. Han-ho's father tries to motivate him and tells him that he has all the qualities of a true leader. Meanwhile, Seongwu and his party is wreaking havoc on the streets. Not even a single mob can stand their ground against them. Even low-ranked monsters are now afraid of them. Seongwu's party heads inside a building and they find a smith shop in there. The smith shop gives option to Seongwu to combine 3 of his legendary rank item into 1 at the price of 100,000 gold. Seongwu starts preparing his 3 items for the combination, but there's a 2% chance of losing his items, so Jisoo starts praying for Seongwu. Seongwu proceeds with the combination and the 3 items start merging. Seongwu gets a legendary rank item called Chaos Crystal. It grants Chaos attribute to its user and boosts mana by 500 and mana regen by 250. It can also steal mana and health by 3% during simultaneous attacks. Both Han-ho and Ji-soo-yeon congratulate Seongwu for his new item. Ji-soo-yeon checks Smithy, and it turns out she can also combine her Fire Whetstone with Incendiary Blade, and this combination requires 15,000 gold. She combines her items and receives an Ignition Blade which causes burns whenever she strikes an enemy. Han-ho becomes angry at the system because there is nothing available for him to combine. They head back to the store in a car complex to buy more items, but the store has already been destroyed by someone else. There's a message written on the wall which says that all pathetic humans are going to die because the age of a new species is coming. They realize that this message was written with monster claws. Seongwu thinks that maybe it was done by a new kind of intelligent monster. With that said, they start heading back to the town. On their way, they meet Sergeant Kim, who is performing a group quest with other soldiers. If they complete a group quest, their commander receives a completion reward and the soldiers' defense and attack power increases by 10% for the next day. But Sergeant Kim is wondering that they have been killing orcs and goblins for a very long time, but they keep appearing like they are respawning from somewhere. Sergeant Kim hopes that it must not be the case or their sufferings will never end. The low-ranked soldiers are just being used as slaves by the army to mine gold, and they don't even let the soldiers use the online forum. Seongwu is thinking that army is still using same old rules. That's why the Prosecutor Guild has a better chance of growing in this new world. Seongwu tells the soldiers to rest at their own town because it is close by. Meanwhile, the town is getting invaded by werebears, and the survivors can't seem to hold their ground against them. In the end, Spearman Kyung-soo becomes scared after facing the werebear. The bear does a swing attack, but Kyung-soo jumps over the bear. He slashes both of the eyes of the bear with one swing attack. Kyung-soo is happy because he bided some time for others, but another bear manages to catch him. Kyung-soo is about to be crushed to death, but Righty chops off the arm of the bear. Ji-seon finishes off the bear with a single stab attack. Another bear is about to attack her from behind, but Han-ho blocks his attack with his invincible skill. Seongwu arrives there, and he's quite happy because these powerful bears are about to become a part of his army. The soldiers become amazed after witnessing Seongwoo's power from their very own eyes. Seongwu received the bears, and he received a wild tyrant synergy for having more than 4 bears in his party. This synergy decreases enemy defense by 10%, and it increases all allies' defense by 10%. Seongwu tells Sergeant Kim to inform his commander that he is ready to fight the boss and reclaim the airstrip. The next morning, the survivors from the last werebear attack are getting healed. Han-ho and Ji-seon congratulate Spearman Kyung-soo for holding down the werebears on his own. Seongwu and Righty praise him as well. Sergeant Kang arrives there and he mocks the condition of Seongwoo's town, and Seongwu is not happy with his attitude. Seongwu tells them that they are in a rough condition because they were attacked by werebears last night. Sergeant Kang tells him he knows those bears are very tough opponents because he defeated one of them in the past. Sergeant Kim informed Seongwu before that Sergeant Kang has a 3-star striker class. He uses martial arts instead of weapons, but no one knows about what he chose during the 2nd class selection. Sergeant Kim informs 1st class Sergeant Kang that Seongwu is ready and they can leave right away. Sergeant Kang becomes more pissed. He angrily grabs Sergeant Kim and tells him that he should shut up because he is not bringing in the required gold from daily quests. Seongwu thinks these low-ranked soldiers are nothing more than slaves for the army. Sergeant Kim bursts out in anger and he tells Sergeant Kang that a lot of his companions died because of him. Sergeant Kang strangles him and tells him to just shut up and keep bringing in gold like he's supposed to. He further tells him that his troops died because of the incompetence of Sergeant Kim, and he should not have chosen a useless class like a warsmith. Seongwu tells him that he wants to leave right away, and he don't have time for Sergeant Kang's circus. Sergeant Kang angrily leaves with his troops. Sergeant Kim also leaves with his troops because they need to prepare for the boss raid. Seongwu and his party members feel sorry for Sergeant Kim, but there's nothing they can do to help him. Seongwu and the military guys arrive at the airstrip, but the airstrip is in a very bad condition right now. Sergeant Kang is a jealous person and he hasn't told Seongwu any useful information about the boss, but Sergeant Kim already informed Seongwu about it. Finally, the boss monster Giant Troll appears at the airstrip, but it is much bigger than what Seongwu expected. Troll finally spots Seongwu party and he starts running toward them, but Seongwu uses death response on him and his zombies take a hold of his legs. Troll easily gets rid of all of them in a single slam attack. The whole ground starts shaking because of his attack. Seongwu detonates the zombie and the explosion engulfs the troll. After the smoke subsides, the troll seems to have suffered a minor injury, which is getting healed with his regeneration ability. This boss monster has no special abilities like the boss monster Seongwu faced in the past, but his strength alone is enough to make up for it. Boss gives a loud roar. Hanso and Ji-seon get prepared because it's their turn to fight the boss. Meanwhile, on the other side, Company Commander informs Lieutenant Kang that the prosecutor of Yeongdong-po is gaining more influence by absorbing the small groups of survivors. Company Commander asks Lieutenant Park for his permission to write a post on the public forum to make the public calm, but Lieutenant Park stops him because the higher-ups think trusting this system too much will be dangerous for the army. Company Commander is a bit skeptical about the higher-ups' decision because the game's influence in the real world is now too big, and they should play by its rules. Lieutenant Park is a pathetic person and he orders his troops to kill Seongwu after the boss monster gets defeated. First Sergeant Kang is accompanying Seongwu and he will perform the execution right after the troll gets defeated. Lieutenant Park orders Company Commander to head over there and steal all gold and valuable items from Seongwu before killing him. Company Commander is not happy with the decision of Lieutenant Park, but he has no other choice but to follow the orders of his superiors. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, Han-ho is soaking up all of the damage from the boss with his invincible skill. Han-ho is a bit disappointed in the boss because his attacks are not even tickling him a bit. Boss is a bit tired after all of his attacks, and Ji-seon jumps on him from behind. She manages to stab the back of the boss. She jumps away from the boss after leaving her sword stuck in him. There is an invincible rope attached to her sword. Han-ho starts circling around the boss with the rope. First Sergeant Kang is amazed because he thought Seongwoo's friends were just useless idiots, and they were using him to gain levels. They are both able to easily face the boss without suffering any major injuries. Han-ho's invincible ability is about to go on cooldown, but Sergeant Kim has got a fresh supply of goblins for him. Han-ho kills the goblins by throwing a knife, and his force field reactivates. Finally, Han-ho is able to tie down the boss with the invincible rope. The boss monster falls to the ground, and now it's Seongwoo's turn to face the boss head-on. one of Seongwoo's minions gives him Dragon Knight's Masterless Sword, and he starts charging toward the boss with his minions. All of them start bashing and piercing the boss. One of the orc skeletons punches the boss from behind. The boss monster eats the orc skeleton, but there were many dead bodies inside the skeleton's bag, and Seongwoo detonates them, which results in a big explosion inside his mouth. Seongwoo walks up to the boss, and he stabs the head of the boss with Masterless Sword, which results in his death. He receives 220,000 gold for defeating the boss, and his level has risen up to 11. All of his stats have increased by 2, and he received a special item chest. Killing the boss monster with Masterless Sword decreased egg hatching time by 98 days, and now there are 4,850 days left until the egg hatches. Seongwoo chose Create Bone Weapons card as his level up skill, and now he can make more variety of weapons with the bones. First, Sergeant Kang is amazed by Seongwoo's feat, but now he needs to get rid of him. Sergeant Kang is a bit hesitant, but Seongwoo tells him that he's a bit late for the surprise attack, meaning he knew everything from the start. Sergeant Kang attacks him with his Magnum Blow skill, which results in a big explosion, but Seongwoo used a new shield bone to block his attack. Their surprise attack failed, so Sergeant Kang orders his soldiers to attack Seongwoo's minions while he takes care of him. He starts charging straight towards Seongwoo. He blows Seongwoo's bone shield with a single Magnum punch. Seongwoo tries to attack him with the Masterless Sword, but Sergeant Kang kicks it out of his hand. He becomes more cocky, but Seongwoo slashes his face a bit with a bone dagger he just created from his bone armor. Sergeant Kang is still confident that he can win, but he realizes that he is surrounded by all the dead skeletons that he just mashed. Seongwoo creates spears with those bones that pierces through Sergeant Kang. He calls for his soldiers' help, but they were already in cahoots with Seongwoo. Sergeant Kim comes up to him and tells him that they will no longer be slaughtered for the delusional creeps like first Sergeant Kang. Company commander arrives there and he tells them that they are making a mistake, and they can't survive in this ruthless world without the army. Company commander starts throwing threats at the soldiers. Meanwhile, First Sergeant Kang got out of the spears, but he finally snapped. Company commander tries to stop him, but he uses a mysterious injection on himself. After taking the injection, his body mass starts increasing. It was a drug that turns humans into uncontrollable werebeasts. Sergeant Kang kills company commander first. He has fully transformed into a tiger-type werebeast. Both Ji Soo-yun and the tiger start advancing toward each other. He does a frontal attack, but Ji Soo-yun manages to dodge it with her supreme sense skill. She jumps at him to attack him with her ignition sword, and she manages to stab one of his paws. But her sword is stuck inside his hand, and he throws her away with a single punch. Seongwoo activates his Cerebus synergy, which gives his minions a lot of buffs if they are fighting against a single enemy. Seongwoo is really pissed, and he's determined to finish him off right here. His wolves and bears easily manage to take down the were-tiger with their huge numbers. Meanwhile, on the other side, soldiers report to Battalion Commander that their troops are back. Sergeant Kim arrives there and Battalion Commander Park inquires about their mission. Sergeant Kim reports that they have defeated the boss. Battalion Commander is happy, but he asks about Company Commander and Sergeant Kang. Sergeant Kim replies that they are both dead, and Seongwoo arrives there. He is here to talk about the mission where Sergeant Kang tried to kill him. Sergeant Kim arrives at their main headquarters with Seongwoo and his minions. The soldiers become afraid after seeing the skeletons. Sergeant Kim informs his companions that they are going to be free very soon. Seongwoo rushes inside the building. He throws Lieutenant Park inside their commander's office. The commander is disappointed in Lieutenant Park because he failed to stop the rebellion. Seongwoo thinks this commander is pathetic because he drives his troops to their deaths. Commander informs him that they only survived up to this point because they followed the military rules. Seongwoo tells him that he is pathetic and he forced his troops to fight for him, and they are on edge right now. Commander tells him that on the first day of this apocalypse, they battled hard against the monster and many soldiers sacrificed their lives in the process. They were granted a hidden synergy effect for fighting hard as a group. This synergy effect grants the commanding officer with the commander class. The commander can order anything from his troops, and if they disobey him, they will receive punishment in the form of a restriction on all of their stats. His troops are granted a group quest at 6 AM every day, and they receive a small amount of buff upon the completion of the quest. If a soldier disobeys or leaves the area, he will be branded as a deserter, and all the monsters within the vicinity will start hunting down that soldier. Seongwoo tells him all this time he was sending his soldiers to their deaths. The world right now is just like a survival game, and all humans are just chess pawns on the board of the creator of this game. Seongwoo gets to the point and inquires about why he ordered his troops to kill him. Commander tells him that he is a thorn in his side, and he cannot let rogue groups like his flourish in this world and topple the government. Commander keeps accusing him of many things, but Seongwoo realizes that the commander is not even trying to mince his words to not offend Seongwoo, and maybe the commander thinks he can take care of Seongwoo with his little crossbow. Seongwoo tells him to release the soldiers from his synergy and hand over all of his gold to him. If he does that, Seongwoo will leave this area once Season 1 ends. Commander becomes pissed and he tells Seongwoo that all gold and soldiers belong to the military. Seongwoo sets the record straight and tells him that he is not here to make a deal. Either the commander should hand over everything himself, or Seongwoo will retrieve them after killing him. The commander becomes afraid and he agrees to Seongwoo's conditions. Commander hands over 45,000 gold to Seongwoo, but Seongwoo thinks it's too less. Seongwoo inquires about the werebeast vials from the commander, but he refuses to tell him because it was not part of their deal. Seongwoo blackmails him by saying that he will not leave after the first stage ends. The commander tells him that he bought the vials from the wandering peddlers and they never told him their main location. They also told the commander that powerless and pathetic people buy stuff from the roulette stores. Seongwoo remembers that this same catchphrase was written on the destroyed store wall, and he thinks they are responsible for destroying the store. Seongwoo starts leaving with his minions, but commander tries to attack him from behind with his crossbow. Another soldier rushes in with the crossbow and he fires at Seongwoo, but he manages to block it with his bone shield. Seongwoo had enough and he throws the bone spear shard at them, which led to their deaths. Seongwoo receives 14,000 gold for killing both of them. A minion tries to go for the commander, but he tells him to stop, or he will detonate a bomb. This bomb is called Abyss Concentrate, and he bought it from the wandering peddlers. Seongwoo becomes happy and asks him to use Abyss Concentrate on him, because it's the same skill Arc Shaman used against him back in the school. The were-tiger smashes through the window and he crushes the commander's hand. Seongwoo tells him to send his regard to the vampire lord in hell, and the were-tiger beheads the commander with a single attack. Seongwoo receives 6,000 gold for killing a level 3 player. He thinks the commander was a pathetic loser because he was still on level 3. Commander had only a little gold left because he spent all of their resources to buy something else. Were-tiger opens up a locker and there are many products inside which the commander bought from the peddlers. The description of the werebeast vials say that they were originally created by an unknown player by boiling a human who just turned into a werebeast. Injecting this vial into the muscles will turn the player into a werebeast for 20 minutes. Meanwhile, on the outside, Ji Soo-yeon is getting healed by Hanho's new healing skill. They are using Hanho's skill instead of potions because they gave them away to the wounded soldiers, and Hanho needs to increase his healing skill level. Hanho is a bit hurt because even Seongwoo's minions look down upon him, but Riley comes up to him and pat him, which gives him some courage. Seongwoo comes out and inquires about Ji Soo-yeon's injuries. She tells him that she is alright and she rushed at the were-tiger because she thought her class can easily match the were-tiger. Seongwoo tells him that it is alright because there are many other monsters she can easily kill with her skills alone. Seongwoo is glad that Hanho learned a healing skill because soon they will need to face the Lich King's undead army, and the priest class is the perfect counter for the undead class. Hanho can even one day beat Seongwoo if he utilizes his class well. Hanho asks about Seongwoo's new cool-looking robe. Seongwoo tells him that he received it from the chest he got after killing the troll. It's a legendary rank coat called Shadow King's robe. It reduces damage by 10%, and it allows the wearer to remain hidden in the shadows until he attacks an enemy or someone uses a detection skill to catch him. Hanho becomes disheartened because he never received any legendary rank item. Sergeant Kim informs Seongwoo that some soldiers decided to depart to look for their families while the rest of them are going to Seongwoo's town. There were also some who refused to cooperate to the very end, and they will fend for themselves now. Seongwoo tells them to head back to the town. Seongwoo needs to keep grinding levels because there are only 3 days left until the end of stage 1. Back in the town, everyone is busy grinding levels and raiding dungeons. Meanwhile, Seongwoo leveled up to 12 after defeating an orcs camp, but his level up progress has slowed down because he is only encountering weaker monsters. Seongwoo selected a strength card as his level up option, and his strength increased by 3, and now his total strength is 13. But it's still not enough. He needs to level up to 15 as soon as possible and acquire the Grim Reaper's Scythe. A new notification pops up which informs the players that Chapter 1 of the main story has ended, and the double gold event bonus is also invalid now. Plus, the restriction on travel between different areas has also been lifted. A main story start guide pops up. It congratulates the player for surviving up to Chapter 2. The system further tells them that they will soon find out the purpose of this game, and now the survivors need to build up their strength to face this new world. 3 more warning pop up which tells them that this event will last for 20 days. Raid boss monsters will appear throughout the world, which will provide major rewards, and these raid bosses can attack the safety zones as well. The last warning says that signs of angels or demon caps are scheduled for a later update. Players can start looking for the traces of both species which are scattered across the world. Seongwu realizes that there are two important things in this new update. First are the raid bosses, and second are demons or angels, but he has no information about them. Hanho informs Seongwu about something major in the mobile app. It turns out they published the ranking for the Korean server. Seongwu is on 3rd place on the whole Korean server. Seongwu is amazed by the guy on 1st position because he's been killing monsters non-stop, but he's still on level 12. He thinks maybe that guy on rank 1 is a hardcore gamer. Jisoo realizes something strange about the 4th and 5th place players. Judging by their ID names, they both belong to the same group, but they're still in the top 5 together. Hanho tells Seongwu to check out the online forum. It turns out second place prosecutor of Yeongdong-po wants to meet him, and he made a public post about it. He wants to request an official meeting with Seongwu. He has the Korea's largest survival community with 500 players working under him. Their goal is to overcome this crisis and reveal the truth behind this game. The prosecutor has heard many good things about Seongwu, and he wants him to join his guild. The prosecutor will come in person if Seongwu agrees to meet him. Seongwu is sure that this prosecutor guy wants something different from him, that he is not showing to others. Now Seongwu has one more thing to worry about. Meanwhile, on the other side, prosecutor and his guild members are burning some monsters. One of his players informs him that travel restrictions have been lifted, and this is the perfect opportunity to expand their territory. A female hunter stops him because there are raid bosses, demons, and angels outside, and they first need information about them. Prosecutor tells them that their mission is to slay monsters and save people. They need to prevent the annihilation of their civilization. The players become motivated after hearing it. The female player tried to track the number 1 player so they can recruit him, but there is no trace of him anywhere. That's why she made that post to recruit Seongwu, who is on the 3rd place. They need good reputed players like Seongwu to increase their strength because this world is filled with selfish and corrupt people. The survivors are praising Seongwu non-stop on the online forums, and he has become more popular than Prosecutor. The prosecutor needs to meet him as fast as possible and make sure that he is not a threat to their future. The female player informs the prosecutor that Seongwu replied to their post and he's ready to meet the prosecutor. Prosecutor tells his players to get ready to travel to Hwasong Fortress in Suwon. The next morning, Seongwu tells his companions that he needs to meet prosecutor to share some important information, and he wants to know about tips to level up quickly, or they will be killed by the Lich in the future. Taesong biker groups arrives there, and he informs Seongwu that they were attacked by some strange people who took his friend Yongsik with them. They were looking for something called Golden Deer, but once they found out Taesong group knows nothing about the Golden Deer, they started attacking them. Jisoo-yun thinks that they're just a bunch of outlaws from another area, but soon they will find out about their town once they investigate Yongsik. Seongwu asks Taesong to lead him to those bandits. Meanwhile, the bandits are beating Yongsik, but he is not giving away any information to them. He knows they will finish him off if he tells them the information about their town. One player is about to kill him, but Seongwu's party arrives there on time. Bandits ask them the same question about the Golden Deer, but Seongwu tells him that he has no idea about what they have never heard of anything related to Golden Deer. The bandit is a pervert, so he asks them to hand over Jisoo-yun to them. Jisoo-yun snaps and she wants to kill him. The bandit rushes toward her. He uses a skill with his weapon, but Jisoo-yun dodges it. He keeps swinging his weapon at her, but she easily dodges all of his attacks. Finally, she decides that it is enough, and she cuts one of the arms of the bandit. His henchman throws a fireball at Jisoo, but she easily manages to parry it. Jisoo rushes at them with her sword, and she burns them alive with her skill. Two more bandits get nailed by Hanho's daggers. One of the bandits took Yongsik hostage, and he is threatening them to back off. Seongwu appears from behind him, and he finishes him off with his dagger. Some bandits manage to escape in time on their motorbikes. Taesong asks Yongsik if he found out about anything on the Golden Deer from the bandits, and he replies that it gives players some epic items. Soon, Jisoo spots a Golden Deer near them. A hidden quest appears, and now they need to catch the Golden Deer to acquire one of the tickets to a hidden stage. Seongwu uses his technique right below the Golden Deer, and his zombies start appearing out of it. The Golden Deer manage to escape from them. Seongwu sends his werewolves after the deer. They chase the deer into an alleyway, but their path seems to be already blocked by a werewolf. The werewolf becomes scared after watching Seongwu's party, and it starts running away from them. The golden deer gets easily crushed by Seongwoo's werewolves. Seongwu receives a part of the ticket to the hidden stage. But Seongwu is worried about something because all werewolves instinctively attack their prey while this one used his head and ran away. He is worried about it, but they need to head back to town for their meeting. Meanwhile, back in town, everyone is happy because they are going to see the prosecutor, which is quite famous on the online forum. Seongwu is quite impressed because prosecutor made it this far using a helicopter without worrying about the wyverns.